Hi guys, good morning. Happy Thursday. It is Friday Eve. We are so close to the weekend. I can almost smell it. I'm ready. I am so ready for the weekend. Oh, how are we doing out there? How's everybody's week been so far? Have you guys had a chance to check out the new beads that are on the Jesse James Beads website? Have ya? So brand new, well, they're not technically brand new because they did exist in the Jesse James Beads universe, but they are back in stock. The Market Fresh Minis. Hi, Miss Anita, how are ya? You guys, these beads are so gorgeous, like so gorgeous. Good morning, Kathy, my dear. I was thinking about you this morning. Hi, everyone. Hi, Natalie, I'm sorry. Nancy, it's so good to see you guys. Patty, oh golly, it's been a long week. I'm feeling it. Can you tell I'm feeling it? So like I was saying, good morning, Maggie. Just like I was saying, the Market Fresh Minis are back in stock. And you guys, if you've not had a chance to check these out, please do yourself a favor. And when we're done here, go look at them. I'm going to use one today. I'm going to use the Bing Cherry. And oh man, is it pretty. So pretty. So pretty. We're going to use this to create a really fun necklace today, but you guys, I have a really hard time like picking out my favorites from the Market Fresh Minis. First of all, there's a ton of them to choose from. I can't remember exactly how many there are, but I know there's more than 10. I'm certain of that. And there's literally a color combination for everybody. And I got to tell you, when you open them up and you look at them or you look at the pictures of all the beads that are in there, I'm always amazed at how many beads actually fit inside these little containers. Like it blows me away because that container looks so small, but these are packed full of delicious beads. See what I did there? Market Fresh Minis, delicious. Oh yes. So I have pulled a couple that are really speaking to me at the moment. I left out the orange one. So there's an orange one. Let me see what it's called that I absolutely love. And it's weird because I'm not a huge orange person, but this has that orange color in it that I am so drawn to. You know the one I'm talking about. It's like orange pink kind of apricot color. There are some beads in it that are just to die for. And of course, just bright orange if you love bright orange. That's the orange bell pepper one. I love it so much. My good dear friend Jane is going to be obsessed with the vibrant iris. That one is absolutely gorgeous as well. Two of my favorites that I have pulled outside of the red is probably my number one favorite out of all of them. You guys know how I feel about reds. But then two of the others that I really love are avocado on everything. Avocado on everything, minus some of the letters. Everything. There we go. Just kind of sounded like a record. Okay, anyway. So this green is absolutely beautiful. The beads that are in here are absolutely delicious. And it is green and brown, which I absolutely love. And then the other one that I'm really loving, and I can't decide whether or not I'm going to use this one on Monday or if I'm going to use this one tomorrow on Sara Ellis Designs, but it's Earl Grey, and it is so pretty. I don't know what it is about this one. It just has my heart. It's that antique brass, the little pops of gold that are in here, that brass, and then the gray that is just that fall cloudy day gray. Is that what we called it? Remember we talked about it, but it's stunning. The faceted beads that are in this are absolutely gorgeous. And I don't know, I'm really feeling gray these days as far as beads are concerned. I feel like it's a color that doesn't get used in jewelry very often, and I really love it. Particularly when you contrast it with like an antique brass or a bronzy kind of color, because your normal inclination is to use this with silver, right? And that can kind of wash out your beads. So using a pop of a different metal, yes, I love it. Love it. So I can't decide which one I want to use tomorrow, but I'm going to use one of them tomorrow and one of them on Monday for our Maker Monday. And as for today, we're going to be using, as for today, we're going to be using this red Bing Cherry that I I'm in love with immediately. This was the first one that I opened, and I knew before I even opened it that this was going to be the one that we used today. I just am so in love with the deep, deep reds. The facets in this are absolutely gorgeous. There is an owl in here that is perfect, and two little hearts, and I just immediately could envision the necklace that we were going to make, so that's what we're going to do. And of course my friend Wanda says she wants them all. My friend, feel that way. I have to have them all. I don't have the entire set. I have almost the whole set. But yeah, it's definitely a collection where you want to collect the whole thing. All right, so let's talk about the weekly deals, right? Do a little housekeeping before we get down to it, and then let's put together this necklace, and we'll talk about what my my thoughts are on this necklace as well. So just a reminder that the weekly deals for the week, and they're still good until Monday, so you've still got plenty of time to shop on these, is the buy 4 get 1 free on the check glass crystal beads. Remember all of those fabulous earrings that we made yesterday? If you want to recreate those, this is the perfect deal for you, and the code for that is Caged Sparkle. The next weekly deal is 10% off of chain, and we also used chain in almost all of, well, we did use chain in all of our earrings yesterday. 10% off chain. The code for that is chain 10. And then last but not least, the weekly deal is 30% off charms and pendants, and the code for that is Bling It. And if you have not had an opportunity to go and check out the pendants and charms on the website, I highly recommend doing that as you're over there checking out the Market Fresh minis. Oh gosh, Gloria says, how do you keep your bead room organized with all the projects you do every week? Well, that's a funny thing, because what you can see looks fairly organized. What you can't see is an absolute disaster. And I've got about 75 things going on at once right now. Like that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I literally do have, like, I'm pulling double duty. I've got a lot of different things going on. And so things just kind of turn into a complete disaster. There's a bag of potato chips. There are looms, there are beads, I mean, it's a mess. So don't be deceived. What you see here may look nice and clean, but what you do not see looks like a tornado has gone through here. And as far as organization is concerned, I just laugh at that because that is funny. Organization is something that I really struggle with, but I use a lot of bowls and plates to dump beads on. And so some things just forever live in a bowl, like this little guy. It just lives in a bowl. So, all right, guys. We've got a beautiful necklace to put together today, and this one, you guys, I love this red color. It's absolutely amazing, right? And what I was thinking about this, when I opened this up and I kind of looked at the beads, I have Halloween on the brain, even though I'm not doing my regular Halloween event this year. That doesn't mean that I don't have Halloween on the brain. So I am really thinking about, you know, what kind of jewelry would go with costumes? Because some of us are still going to dress up, even if we're just sitting at home watching scary movies, right? Halloween is still happening, maybe just not in the form that we're used to. And so I thought this necklace kind of pulls double duty. It actually pulls triple duty if you think about it, because there are a lot of elements in this necklace that we are going to put together, and the heart and the owl and the red color, this can all be used either for Christmas, because this is a very beautiful Christmas red color, right? So this is going to be a beautiful necklace for the holidays. This can also be a beautiful necklace for Valentine's Day, because again, it has the red in it and it has the hearts in it. And then it can also be a kind of, it does have a gothic kind of medieval flair to it, just because of the shape of the necklace itself. So if you decided that you wanted to be like a vampire princess or something of that sort, or just a medieval princess in general, this would be a great necklace for that as well. So I love it when I can kind of cross the lines when it comes to style. But I definitely had Halloween on the brain when I was putting this project together, but it just so happens that it works for Christmas and Valentine's Day as well. Motorcraft says, did I miss the announcement for the snack shenanigans? You have not missed the announcement for that. I have not done that yet, just because I haven't had a chance to fit that into my schedule, but the snacks are sitting like literally right here ready for me to do that. So I'll keep you posted on that one. It will be very, very soon, within the next probably 4 days. So I'll let you know. Don't worry, you won't miss it. Okay, so let's pour these out and look at them, because they're so luscious and so beautiful, shall we? All righty. Ginger knows things. That's all I can see. Like, I don't know what happened before that, but just the thought that somebody said, and Ginger knows things, that's so funny, because that's, Ginger does know things. Who was that? Do you really know what you're saying? Ginger really does know things. It's kind of scary, the things she knows. Okay, so Bing Cherry, you guys. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Cannot wait to show you. So just before we get started, you may notice that there are some beads in here that are already wire wrapped. That is just to kind of save us some time, okay? I didn't wire wrap everything, but there are things in here that are already ready, just so that we're not here until this afternoon putting this necklace together. This blue color plate was probably not the best choice for this, but we're just going to have to kind of go with it because the others are filled at the moment. Okay, so first and foremost are the tassels in here. They always catch my eye first. They're gorgeous in this really deep, deep red, almost a maroon color. Really, really beautiful. And then these guys I thought were the perfect accent. So this is really kind of the only other color in this mix other than the red itself, is this kind of plummy purple that just goes so beautifully with that red. Like, it's amazing to me how this plum purple just pops with all of the red. So there are all of the tassels that are included in this one. And then of course we have these drops, and this was definitely the focal for this. I really wanted these drops to be the star, and they come in a couple of different, well, they come in 2 different colors. So you've got this one that I am absolutely in love with, and then you've got this one that is like completely, it's not clear, right? It's this opaque, just gorgeous. Like, this is very Christmas red to me. This red can definitely be Christmas as well, but like this, I don't know, this opaque just really kind of screams holidays to me. Thought these were beautiful. There are some roses in here that are just beautiful. That color. I'm just obsessed with this mix in general. I'm sure that you can tell is my enthusiasm, but there are some little beads in here. We're going to use some of those. Look, you guys, I love the baby beads. They're so beautiful. And even though they're tiny, they really pack a punch in the design that we're going to put together today. And then of course I was talking about the heart beads that are in here, the filigree on those. I mean, these are beautiful, and the quality is so nice on these. These are really, really nice. And then our beautiful little owl here, he even has a little, whoops, he even has a little heart on his belly right there. So he really is a love owl, but he can be goth and spooky, and that's, you know, that's kind of the way we're going to use him today. But I just thought they were just fabulous. Really, really fabulous. And then I do want to mention there are pops of metal all through this, but there are these beads that are really stinking cool. And I love that these were added. So these are kind of a gunmetal, like hematite color, and they have a large hole. These are going to be great on some thicker cords, right? They're going to look really gorgeous on like a black lace or a black piece of leather, or I don't know, even gray would look beautiful, or red. If you had some red leather cord, that would look amazing on that, or any kind of cord, just a little bit thicker. Or you can always bring the hole down by adding some bead caps to the ends of these, but I really love these. I love the shape of them, and they have that gorgeous AB crystal that is attached to them running all through the center, so they have that sparkle to them. I don't know, I was just really drawn to these. I think that they are absolutely beautiful. I saw that somebody had, let's see, whoa, Sylvia says, oh, the owl. Suzanne says she finds it challenging to use the tiny beads. Well, hopefully I'm going to give you some ideas for using the tiny beads. I love a tiny bead, and I feel like a tiny bead can be used in so many different ways, right? This can be a filler bead, or it can be a standalone bead, because that red is so absolutely brilliant. So I think that kind of changes up how you use a tiny bead, you know, based on whether it's a metal bead or what color you're working with, and how how brilliant it is. If you're using like a small gray bead, sometimes those are hard to work with. Browns, those kinds of things, like neutrals in small beads can be challenging. But I feel like when you've got a pop of bright color, whether it is a blue or a red or an orange or a yellow, you can really use those as accents to bring out the best of your bigger beads. And they make really cool little beaded chains, which just happens to be what we're going to do with ours. We're going to make some little chain pieces, right? One of these is already done for us. We're going to put another one together so that we've got 2 of these for either side of our necklace. But just so that you get kind of an idea of what we're going to do with ours. So Maggie says, what a delicious mix. This is going to be so good. It is going to be so good. It is. This necklace is just so beautiful. And I want to do a really good job of it. So I want you guys to know that I have the picture pulled up over here so that I don't make any mistakes. Necklaces can be challenging just because there are so many steps involved and I don't want to mess them up or miss any of the steps. Okay. So thank you for your patience with me today. All right. So we're going to start exactly where I started when I started creating the necklace, and that was in the center. So the very first thing that I did was I laid down the owl. I knew I wanted to use him. I laid out a heart. I knew that was going to happen, and one of these tiny little red beads. This was the inspiration for the entire necklace. So I think that it's fitting that we use this as our jumping off point for creating the necklace, since this is where I actually started. So we're going to put this together first, and then we're going to create some little connectors. We've actually done these before. We've made these little connectors out of 18 gauge wire. We've done these before, but there's no reason why we can't refresh ourselves with these because they're so versatile and you can use them in so many different ways. So they're easy to do and just a cool little thing that you can do if you don't have a this kind of component in your stash. You can make your own components. So that's what we're going to do. But let's start here, shall we? So we are going to start with just a few little jump rings to attach all of this together. And I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to use a couple of 4mm jump rings. I'm going to use a 6mm jump ring, and then we're going to use an eye pin. Let me grab an eye pin here. Okay, so let's put this little guy together, and then we'll just build our way out. So I'm going to open up a 4mm jump ring. Okay, and you can always use 6s where I use 4s if you want. It's, you know, it's not an issue. Okay, now I want to thread on my jump ring to the bottom of this heart, and there's a little bit of room here. Might be a little tricky. Just give yourself a little bit of patience. So wiggle that jump ring in there. There is space there, but you're working between some of the filigree. So I do have it pulled up here so that I can actually see what I'm doing. Uh-oh. Or not. Or not. So I got one of these in here last night. Let's try a 6, shall we? Just to see. I thought for sure that I was using a 4 here, but it may be that I used a 6. But a jump ring will go through here, I promise you. Let's see. Where's the other heart? You just kind of have to be patient with it because there is really that intricate. See how I just looped that through? I feel like that 6mm jump ring is just too big right there. I really want to try to get a 4 through there if I can. So let's try. I just don't want that bottom jump ring to be overpowering. So let's give it a try with the 4. You just kind of have to have that magical little. There, got it. It just took a second, takes a second. And I'm kind of far away from it, so I can't really pull it up to my face to give it a good look without it being out of the frame. Okay, so there's our 4mm jump ring. This is gonna be our little, see how tiny that is? I just didn't want that big 6mm jump ring there because I don't want it to take away from the shape of the heart. And I'm going to use another 4mm jump ring to attach our owl to the bottom of that because you can see our loops here our jump ring and the loop on the owl are going the same direction. So we need a jump ring to go in between there to connect those so that they will hang the right way. So just another 4mm jump ring to attach these two together. Okay, that is perfect. Look how cute that is. I love him so much, and the heart is just beautiful. Like, this whole little situation is just gorgeous. I mean, really, really, really beautiful. The bead team, they knocked it out of the park with this mix. All of them, really. They all have their own little accents in them. This one has hearts and owls. Some of the other ones have butterflies. I mean, they're just, the Market Fresh minis are just gorgeous. Okay, now we do have to use a 6mm jump ring for up here at the top, and that is because the opening for our jump ring is down a little bit, and there is a little bit of width in between the two spaces to get to the other side. So we do need that full 6mm jump ring to hook through. And you can see how much space there is there that we have to clear. So the 6mm jump ring was really necessary for that space. And we're going to close that back. Okay, so now we've got a connection point on the top of our heart, and we are just going to add a little pop of color right at the top. So to do that, I want to use an eye pin. I'm going to go ahead and open the eye pin up, and I'm going to attach it to that jump ring that we just added and close it back. And now I'm going to thread on this beautiful little tiny red bead just for that pop of color right there in the center. How pretty is that? It'll be in the center of the necklace. I don't mean in the center of this, because that's clearly at the top. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. All right, so now I'm going to do a wrapped loop here on the top of this bead. So I'm grabbing the wire where it is exiting the bead. I'm giving it a turn just like so. Okay. And I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers. Now you can do a simple loop here if you want to. You don't have to do a wrapped loop. Okay. Up and over with the wire, roll the pliers out of the way and take the wire over to the other side. And then I'm just going to wire wrap in that space between the loop and the top of the bead. I've got room for about 3 wraps. I don't want to push it and try for 4 or anything like that. And my loop here on the bottom is a little sideways, so I'm going to adjust all of that here in just a second. And trim that off. Okay, and now I do want to kind of adjust here. So you just want to be careful. I think probably the biggest issue when using little beads, particularly little glass beads, is that you just always want to be very, very careful with them. Not because they're going to break, but because where the beads have been drilled, you want to be mindful of the hole, because that is a weak spot and they can crack. And if they're going to crack, they're going to crack right at the hole. And that's just kind of the nature of little tiny beads. Suzanne says, read the comments, and there's a laughing face. Oh no. Oh no. Let me go back. Tina, you know Sarah, she's cheeky. What? What is happening? Not Rochelle says, not only did I know what you meant, I thought what you meant when you said it. Should I be worried? No, you're my person. Something about wearing something on your feet. What did I miss, you guys? Oh my gosh. Tries on the beaded thong at the end of make. What? What is happening? What on earth are you all talking? Okay, there will be no thong trying on. And where are we making this beaded thong? What is happening now? You guys are so silly. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I really am going to have to like go all the way back and read all of that, because I feel like I'm still missing information and like, how did that even come up? Okay, so this is the centerpiece for our necklace, and now we're going to build the little components for the connections here. So we are kind of veering off course, but only a little bit, because we do need one of the 4 little clover pieces to go right here in the center. So I'm going to be using 18 gauge wire to create those little connectors, and I'm using my small bell making pliers for this. Okay, and I'm using the larger portion of the tool, so not the small one. It's all Kathleen's fault. Oh no. I'm using the larger mandrel on the small bell making pliers, and I'm just going to create a series of loops. Now people get a little tripped up on this one because they feel like they need to make a figure 8, and you really don't need to make a figure 8. I'm going to break this down so this is super, super easy for you. Okay. So I'm grabbing the wire right at the tip of the wire. It's between the barrel of the pliers. Okay. I'm going to use the larger mandrel tool. So I want to just turn a loop just like so. Okay. Now, the first thing you want to do is like flip your pliers around and make a figure 8 and do a figure 8, you know, across them. Don't do that because it ends up making a mess out of the wire and it just will not lay flat. So what you want to do is, instead of that natural instinct to do that, you want to do side by side loops. This is going to make a much prettier, less messy little clover for you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the wire and we're placing it between the pliers, and notice where I have the tool and the loop that I just made placed. That loop that we just made is right up against the pliers. Okay, so the next loop that I turn is going to be right next to the one that I just made, and the wire is coming down through the center. Okay, now the next thing I want to do, so we started here, right? We started here and we made a loop directly next to it. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to make a loop directly next to that one. So all I'm doing is just kind of turning this. So the last loop that we made is right up against the side of the pliers, and I'm going to turn another loop, right? And the wire is going to go between the center of those two. Okay. Now I want to make another one right next to the one that I just made. Same thing, and just turn your loop. Now you do have to kind of readjust a little bit because there's not room. But then that's going to help create a prettier little 4-leaf clover than if you try to do a figure 8 and then do a figure 8 across it in the center. It just gets messy. The wire just does not lay right. So when you're thinking of a clover piece, think of it this direction instead of this direction. When you're looking at it the way that you're going to use it in the piece, which is normally this way, you just see figure 8s, but really turn it to the side and think, okay, all I have to do is just make a series of loops right next to the one that I just made. So that makes it so much easier and less frustrating, I feel like. This is an easy component. Don't overthink it. Don't try to make it more complicated than it needs to be. So this is German style wire. I see that question going by. It's German style wire, and I'm using 18 gauge for this. You can use 20, but you really want to work hard in this very, very much. Very, very much. That was a weird way of putting it. But you do want to, you know, you want to work hard in it. We are going to put this on the block and work hard in it just a tiny, tiny bit, but it really doesn't need much. But the first thing we need to do is we need to cut off, because we don't need this big tail. And I want to cut off where my last circle connects. Don't cut too short. You want to be sure that you do have a full circle there, a closed loop, right? So there is our little component. I'm going to put it on the block, and I am going to work harden this just a tiny bit. This putting it on the block and work hardening it is going to serve a couple of purposes. It's going to work harden it a little bit. It's also going to help to flatten the wire out so that it is not so bulky and three-dimensional. Okay. So I'm not tapping it very hard, and I'm being mindful of making sure that I'm not knocking it out of its shape, and if I do, just trying to kind of reposition everything, you know, just little tiny tweaks and adjustments. Okay. And now that part is ready to go. That's going to go in the center of our necklace, and it's going to be the connection point for the other pieces, because we've got double strands coming off of this. And we're also going to need 2 more that are just the 3. So we're going to do these 2 as well. Okay. Same thing. We're going to use the 18 gauge wire to do that. And instead of making 4, we're just going to make the 3 loops, which is the exact same technique. So 18 gauge wire, small bell making pliers, using the large portion of the tool, turning the first loop. Okay, now our second loop needs to go directly next to that one. Don't put any spaces in between there. Okay, so there's our next loop. So they're literally side by side. This was the last loop that I made, so the next loop needs to be right next to that one. Okay, and turn the loop. Okay, so I don't need 4, all I need is the 3, so I can go ahead and trim off the excess since we don't need it, and make sure that I leave enough wire so that that is a completely closed loop. Don't want to cut too short. Whoops. And there we go. Okay, again, I'm going to put this on the block, just whoops, throw it across the room. That's helpful. Work harden it just a little bit on both sides, and that'll be it for these. I've already got, pick up the one I already made here. So I've already got one that's made. So we've got 2 of these, and they're actually going to hang this direction in our necklace. Okay. So those are the 3 little components to make, and they're not hard. These are easy to put together once you figure out the twisting of the wire part. And what's really cool about them is that you can use these in so many different ways. If you are going to make some multi-strand designs and maybe you don't have any multi-strand components in your kit, then you can use these, you know, just make them yourself. And what's cool about the bell making pliers is that you can make them in such a big variety of sizes. The stepped bell making pliers are my favorite tool ever, and you can make 6 different sizes, so you can make your components all different sizes if you use those instead of just the bell making pliers. But you know, some people don't feel like that's a necessary tool to have in their kit, but that the bell making pliers are. So I'm just saying, anything that'll make loops is going to make you these little components if you've got some 18 gauge wire or some 20 that you want to work harden. But they're cool little components that are easy to make that you can use so many different ways. Angie says, does it make a big difference what size loops? It does not make much of a difference. Well, I take that back. It's not going to change the way that it looks, obviously. It is just going to make it a bigger component, but it's just going to depend on what you're going to do with them. So for our necklace, I want to keep everything kind of consistent in size. So I didn't want to make great big components for our connections here. But if I were working with larger beads and like a big chunky necklace, I would definitely make these larger. So I would use maybe the large bell making pliers and the largest mandrel to make them, you know, more balanced with the design. Okay. So we have our little connections here. These are ready to go. I'm going to sit these to the side because we don't need these guys just yet, but we do need this little 4-leaf one for the center. So I'm just going to take a 6mm jump ring and I'm going to attach our beautiful little pendant that we have created here and just attach that to the bottom loop of our little clover piece. Okay, and now the 2 loops on either edge are going to be where we build out. Never a stupid question. Never ever. So hold on, let me roll back. Kristen says, what makes a wire a German style wire as opposed to not German style wire? Well, they speak German, of course. No. So that is absolutely not a stupid question. And I actually get asked this question all the time. I had a message in my inbox last night. And so I'm never too busy to answer this question because I feel like it's really important. So I'm glad somebody laughed. That was like the lamest joke ever. You speak German, of course. So German style wire is a half hard wire, meaning that it is tempered and it is a little bit sturdier and stiffer than a dead soft wire. Dead soft wires are probably the most common when you go and you just buy wire. Artistic wire is a dead soft wire. A lot of the craft wires are dead soft wires, meaning that they are very flexible and malleable, and you can really kind of bend them and do crazy fun shapes and things with them. You can do the same thing with your German style wire, except that it is just a little bit more stiff, and it is specifically designed for wire wrapping. And so it takes less wire or work hardening. And for me personally, it is my preferred choice for doing wire wraps, even if it is something as tiny as a wrapped loop on a bead like the one we did here. I prefer a half hard wire over a soft wire just because I feel like my loops are more loop shaped and less egg shaped or teardrop shaped. I feel like I have more control over the wire wrapping itself, and it's really just personal preference as far as that is concerned. However, it is true that the German style wire is specifically designed for wire wrapping. That is why it has that harder temper. So if you struggle with wire wrapping or you struggle with your wire wrapped loops, then maybe try the German style wire. It really is the wire that I use for absolutely everything, and I can tell a huge difference. When I go to use a dead soft wire like an artistic wire, I feel like I'm all thumbs. It's very soft, and so it just doesn't behave in the same way. Not that it's worse, because it's not. They're both fantastic wires that have their preferred uses in jewelry design. I just prefer, for the things that I do with wire, to use the German. Okay, so let's move on. So the next little thing that we're going to do is we're going to create our little beaded chain pieces. And so let me just kind of give you an idea of where we're going. We're going to put together a little beaded chain that looks just like this one. And then on the bottom of this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got some pieces of chain. I'm counting the links if you're if you're like, what is she counting? So we're going to use some of this cute little cog chain that is available from Jesse James Beads, of course. And we're going to drape some of the cog chain underneath it. So our cog chain piece is a little bit longer than the beaded chain piece that we're going to make. And we're going to do that on both sides of our center section here. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to take our beads to create our beaded chain. And we're going to use these little guys. Let me get them out of the little plate that they were in. So we need 4 of those in that beautiful red, and then 1 of the opaque, just a little bit bigger. And we're just going to use eye pins for this. So we're just going to do simple loops. We're not going to do wrapped loops, and we are going to connect them directly to each other. So we're not going to use jump rings for this at all. Okay. So let's do that real quick. And you can do this a couple of different ways. You can connect these as you go, or you can do all of your loops and then connect them. I think that's what we'll do. I think we'll do all of our loops and then connect them after we have them all done. So thread on one of your beads to an eye pin, and then we're just going to do a simple loop. So we don't need that extra space, right, to do wraps. So we just want to bend the wire just right where it exits the bead. And then we want to come in with our cutter tool, and you want to leave yourself about 1/4 of an inch of the wire. And then you want to use your round nose pliers, grab the wire and roll back towards the bead and towards your hand to create your simple loop. Okay, so there's one, and we're going to do all of these. Okay, so I'm going to do another one. And again, be really careful so that you don't accidentally crack your bead with your tools. That, you know, I have a tendency to be kind of rough with my tools. So I have to be mindful of the little baby beads. They're sturdy, guys. They're not, you know, they're going to take some punishment, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be mindful of them, right? You just want to be careful. So another, and I'm just repeating this step on all 5 of the beads. Whoops, just rolling back to create our simple little loops here. If you want, or you don't have eye pins, you can make your own eye pins with your German style wire, or you can do wrapped loops with your wire as well. So use what you've got or head on over to the Jessie James Beads website and grab what you need. Right? It's a great place to do all of your shopping. If you've got tools that you want or wire, chain, everything you need, Jessie James Beads has got it over on the website. So not just beads, you can grab all of the goodies. Okay, last one. And guys, the chain that we're using is part of the 10% off chain deal for the weekly deal. So if you love this Cog chain or you don't love the Cog chain, but you want some chain is over there on the website. Okay, so I've put all of my beads together now, or I haven't put them together, but I've put loops on all of them. Now I just want to connect them. So to do that, I'm going to use my chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to open one of the loops on the bead the same way you would open a jump ring. You want to use that kind of lateral, kind of walking it open motion. You don't want to pull it apart because you'll never get that round shape again. Thread on one of the beads and then just close it back. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So just want to very carefully open up your loop, thread on the next bead, and then close it back. Make sure you get them closed. You don't want any of them sneaking away, and they will sneak right out of their spot in the chain. So, okay. Threading on another one, and you don't have to open them very far because these little loops are very thin. All right, so there's our beaded chain for the other side. You can see we worked that up pretty quickly, and we need another piece of our cog chain to go down to make our little drape here. And now we just want to connect all of these together. So we are going to connect these with some 4mm jump rings just because I don't want the jump rings to be distracting, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the two, the bead chain and the metal chain together, and then we're going to connect them to everything else. So I'm going to open up a 4mm jump ring. I'm going to thread on the beaded chain and the cog chain, close that back. So those are connected. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. Okay. So there's the end of our metal chain and then the end of our beaded chain. Okay. So that's connected. I'm going to connect the other ones for the other side. Same thing. Okay, so there is that. All right, now to connect these to the center, I'm going to use another little 4mm jump ring just to attach them to either side of our little connector component here. So find that jump ring, hook that on, close that back, and then you just want to repeat with the other. Find the jump ring, hook that jump ring on. Uh-oh, put that in the wrong place. I have to fix that one. I accidentally attached the first one to the top piece. That's okay. That's an easy fix. Oops. It happens. Okay, there we go. Now it's in the right spot. Okay, so everything's connected here in the middle. Okay, Now, the next thing I want to do, we're going to add these little components. Okay, we're going to attach those. But before we attach these, I want some more drapey, drippy goodness here. So I've got these beautiful drop beads, and I want one of the drop beads to be short, and then I want one of the other drop beads to hang from a piece of our cog chain right here, just like that. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing over here, and we need to do the wire wrapping. So we're going to create our knotted head pins for these, and then we will assemble. Okay. So to do the knotted head pin, I'm going to use some 22 gauge wire. I'm using German style wire for this, and our round nose pliers. So I'm going to grab the wire right at the tip of the wire and the tip of the pliers, roll around the tip of the pliers once, and then underneath a second time. You want to stop where you see the flush cut on the wire, and then before you take this off of the tool, turn it this direction and bend the wire out this way. So that wire is running underneath the two coils that you just made. Okay, take it off of the tool, and then you just want to take the tail end of the wire and stick it back through the two little coils that you made, and you're going to need your nylon jaw pliers to grab that wire. You want to grab right next to where the two coils that you created are, and you want to take another pair of pliers and pull. And this is going to create a knot in the bottom of your wire, a little head pin for your beads. Guys, oh gosh, I was way behind on the comments. So if there's something that I missed, hold on. I apologize because I didn't realize. Wanda says rut-row. What happened? What happened? All right, so sorry guys, I didn't realize that I had still rolled back when you guys were talking about crazy things, so I've probably missed all kinds of things. Okay, so drop your bead down onto that, and then you just want to create a wrapped loop on the top of that. So grabbing with our chain nose pliers, bending the wire, and then we're going to spin over, roll the pliers out of the way, switch hands, and then do the wire wrap. Okay, I know I went through that pretty quickly, but we've got a lot we've got a lot more to go, so I don't want to take up too much time. And I also want you to notice that you only need about 3.5 inches of wire to do your wire wrapping. This is what I had left over, so my pieces are huge. Okay, just make a note, my pieces of wire, there we go. Okay, the video cut off for me too, Angie. I hope we're back though. I see everybody, so I think we're back. All right, so I'm going to do another knotted head pin. So again, just coiling the wire 2 times around the very tip of the pliers, bending the wire out this direction. Okay, going to take the tail end of the wire, thread it back through, and we are going to grab that wire right next to the 2 coils that we made with our nylon jaw pliers and give it a pull. So we've got our second little head pin. We're going to drop our second drop bead down onto that and do a wire wrapped loop. Okay. It's frozen, but you can hear me. Well, I guess that's better than that. I wish I had some control over it, you guys. I really do. I wish like I had like a magic button I could push and just be like, okay, unfreeze now, unfreeze. Facebook is temperamental like that, so you just never know what you're going to get sometimes. All right, so we've got our 2 drop beads for the other side. So now we need to connect these. We're going to connect these with some 4mm jump rings, of course, because they're little and unobtrusive and handy. So I'm going to open up. This one's got a jump ring on the top of it already, so I'm going to leave that one, but I'm going to add a jump ring to the bottom here and thread on one of our beads and some fuzz. Did you see that? Some fuzz from my little bead mat. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. So I'm going to attach a jump ring and our bead. Make sure these are the same length. They are. This one just needs a jump ring on the top. Kathleen did it. Whatever it is, Kathleen did it. All right, jump ring to the top of that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and attach this to our little component here, even though we haven't attached him to the necklace yet, just because I find that it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and attach our drop on the chain. Okay, and then I'm going to attach this guy as well. Just going to use another jump ring. Lots of jump rings in this project, but that usually is the case when it comes to necklaces that have a lot of working parts. You just got to have a lot of jump rings handy. Okay, so we've got our drop bead and then our drop bead on the chain, and I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other one. This one's already got a jump ring on the end of the chain, so I'm just going to open that up and attach. And then same thing with our bead, just use a little 4mm jump ring. And then of course, I'm sure you've guessed by now, we're going to use 4mm jump ring to attach this to the necklace too. So we'll do that part next, and we're getting very, very close to the end. We still have a little bit of wire wrapping that we need to do with some more beads, but only 4 more little wire wraps that we've got to do. So I'm going to connect these with our jump rings to the necklace. So 4mm jump ring, opening that up, I'm going to attach it to that side loop on our 3-ring component, and then to the jump ring that is connecting our 2 chain pieces together. Okay, so that side is done, and guys, I know you know this. It really doesn't need to be said, but for those of you who are new, it never looks as good laying on the mat as it does when it is hanging on a bust. And of course, I will show it to you on a bust when we get finished here. So it looks like a mess, kind of laying down flat, but you'll get to see how pretty it is when we are finished. Okay, so the main middle of our necklace, see if I can lay it out, is complete, right? So pretty. And at this point, you could just add more chain to this and be done with it. But I want to add more red, more beads. So these kind of twisted, cut, faceted beads, I want to do 2 of these on either side here. And I'm just going to wire wrap those together, and then we'll add some chain to it, just because I wanted more beads, more red. You just can't go wrong with that. So we need 4 more pieces of our 22 gauge wire to do our wrapped loops. And we're going to do wrapped loops on either end and connect these. Whoops. We're going to connect these with 4mm jump rings as well, and then we'll put some chain on this. And I'm going to show you what I did for chain. You guys are going to be like, what? We're actually using chain reaction, but it's a little different. I'll show it to you when we get to that point. So we're almost there. So again, just a wrapped loop. I've got a piece of my German style wire here, 22 gauge. That's my gauge of choice. We've made a bend in the wire. Now we're going to go up and over. We're going to roll the pliers out of the way, take the wire over, and create our wrapped loop. So doing the wire wrapping, I'm going to come in and trim off the tail. Okay, we're going to go ahead and thread on our bead, and then we're going to do another wrapped loop on the other end so that it's got 2 connection points, right? Round nose pliers, up and over. Okay, just like this. So there's that. Trim off the tail, and we need to do that 3 more times. So I'm just going to run through these pretty quick. Okay, another wrapped loop. Up and over. And again, I know I'm speeding through this wire wrapping, but we're getting close to our noon mark, so just trying to speed along. And guys, you know that if you go to the Jessie James Beads website while I'm doing this, you can click on the link that says blog on the website, and it will bring up the materials list for the projects that we use. All of our past projects are there. And so if you ever need to see the project again, or you want to see the materials list, you definitely can get that from the blog. And since we are talking about it, you definitely want to subscribe to the Jessie James Beads mailing list so that when we have projects and sales and new beads are released, like the Market Fresh Minis, that you are the first in the know. You will receive an email to tell you when there are brand new things on the site. And that's really important because a lot of the Jessie James Beads mixes and strands are limited edition, and if you don't grab them fast, sometimes you blink and they're gone. So definitely sign up for the newsletter. They're not going to spam you and overload your inbox with tons of messages. You're going to get relevant information, and you will get links directly to our projects. So if you want to see them again, you can always save those emails. So really super good information. Always a good resource. And you can go back on the blog, you can scroll all the way back, like several years. So you can see projects from a long time ago. All of the projects that Nile did are there. There's some Candy Cooper projects there. All of that stuff is still there. So the exact same beads may not be available, but there is a ton of inspiration there. So if you ever need a little kick in the pants creatively, if you're feeling creatively blocked, or there's a project that you vaguely remember from months ago, that's a great resource. All right, so this is our last wrapped loop here, and then we're just going to connect these and we're going to attach our chain to this. So I get this wire wrapped real quick. All right, so we have our 4 beads, and 2 are going to go on this side and 2 are going to go on this side. We're definitely going to attach those with some 4mm jump rings. I think I am a jump ring short though, so let me grab the jump rings here. Always have these handy. Seems like we've used a ton today. So, okay, so 4mm jump rings, and again, you can use 6s if you want to. I just like the 4s because they don't distract from the design. They kind of disappear into the entire piece. They don't feel like they are visible. Okay, so there's one of our beads. A jump ring between them, and our second bead. Okay, so that's one side ready to go. I know I have a twisted mess here, but it'll all work out here in the end. Okay, now I just want to connect these guys. Same way, some 4mm jump rings, and I'm attaching to the petal, the third little loop on our component that doesn't have anything attached to it. One more jump ring to connect these 2 beads. And you can leave this part out if you want to, but I mean, more is more when it comes to beads. So I wanted to use as much of this beautiful red color as possible. All right, so I'm gonna flip things around here. Whoa! That's what I get for trying to lay it all out straight. Everything gets a little twisted around. All right, so there's that, and we're just going to attach our chain to this. And you do, Joan needs a Stay Weird bracelet. I've got my Stay Weird and Be You, which are pretty much the exact same thing in my book. Okay, so as far as the chain part is concerned, you absolutely could continue on. There are enough beads here to make a beaded chain and have that beautiful red color going all the way through the length of the necklace. However, I like to leave mine out. I like to keep the extra beads and not use them in the length so that I can make a matching bracelet or I can make matching earrings to go with the necklace. So a lot of times I grab for chain reaction. And I know I've said this a million times, but it bears repeating because I don't want anybody to ever get rid of their chain reaction scraps. I have scraps, so when I cut pieces of chain reaction, I keep even the tiniest little links of my chain reaction and I save them, okay? And that's what this is. There's the clasp and my jump rings, but basically this is 2 pieces of chain reaction that was probably 10 pieces of chain reaction that I linked all together. And you're going to notice something. There are no beads in this. The beads are missing because even though it wasn't a beaded section that was a scrap, I still saved it. So even just the chain parts of your chain reaction are worth keeping. Don't just toss them just because they don't have a beautiful glass bead on them. Save them. And after a while, you start to build up enough of your scraps to reconstruct some chain pieces. So I have this beautiful antique silver color chain here. Doesn't have any glass beads like our chain reaction, but it is 100% chain reaction. So that's what we're going to use as the length. And yes, I'm sad that it doesn't have beautiful beads running through it, but no scrap is left behind, right? No pieces of things are left behind. I want to keep everything. I keep my wire scraps, I keep my chain reaction scraps, and they start to add up over time, and you've got enough to put together a long piece of chain that you can use like we've done here. So it absolutely is chain reaction. It's just not chain reaction like you're used to seeing it, but still very, very handy, and absolutely 100% Jesse James beads, just happen to be my leftovers. But if you want to buy more chain reaction, you absolutely can with all of those gorgeous beads on it on the website, and chain is 10% off with your coupon code. So all right, guys, and that's it. Our necklace is done. I cannot wait to show this to you on the bust. So I'm going to do that really quickly here, put it on here, and I want to make sure that it's not twisted. So give me just a second. Thank you for being patient. Just want to be sure that all of this beautifulness is laid out the way it needs to be, so I can turn you around and show it to you. I'm so in love with this necklace, I can't even tell you. Sometimes I make pieces, and even if I love them, I still take them apart because I very often have to or need to reuse the beads for things. But there are pieces that come across my desk that I do not take apart. Like, I just refuse to take them apart, and this is one of those. This is a piece that I will absolutely wear this, and I think it's beautiful. I'll be able to wear this for Halloween, for Christmas, for Valentine's Day. I will show you the cog chain up close. Give me just a second. So just want to show you what our necklace, our finished piece looks like on the bust, so you can see it. So you can see this is a very vampire princess or medieval princess, or holiday appropriate with that beautiful red for Christmas. Definitely Valentine's Day appropriate. Our owl has a little heart on his belly, and he's got the heart here and that beautiful red. So this necklace is going to serve you well through the year. Absolutely, 100%. Anytime you want to get dressed up and go somewhere, this is going to be a great piece to grab. And we've still got beads left over to make matching pieces to go with it. I can make earrings to go with this. I can make a bracelet to go with this. If I wanted to make a shorter necklace, a choker to layer this up, I absolutely could. It's amazing to me, all of the beads that are in those little mini mixes. I mean, it's just incredible how much inspiration, how many beads there are. So that is our project for today. I'm so glad you guys are liking this one. I really love it. I really, really love it. So here is the cog chain up close, so you can see the little cogs. Now it is cog in the sense like steampunk. However, you could also look at it like little suns, right? It doesn't have to be steampunk. It could most definitely be little suns. It's available on the website. I love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful chain. Really, really beautiful stuff. Like the Jesse James beads, when they pick out their chain, they're very, very particular about what they pick out and offer on the site. So you know that you're getting really good quality chain, and it's beautiful as well. So yeah, definitely check that out and use your weekly deal on that, because you can get 10% off all chain with chain 10 as the coupon code. Don't forget the other ones though, the buy 4 get 1 free for the caged crystal beads. We used a ton of those and the chain in yesterday's 5 Fast and Furious earrings projects. And again, if you missed that, you can always catch that over on the blog. You can see the list of materials, you can see the pictures of what we created, and there are links to rewatch the project. And then last but not least is the 30% off the charms and pendants. Do yourself a favor when you're checking out the website. You need to definitely check out the pendants and the charms, because there are some really special pieces there, and there might just be that one thing that you're really, really looking for. And again, those are hand selected. Quality is outstanding, and they really help to make beautiful pieces of jewelry. Yes, my daughter may snag this one. That's 100% true. I have to be careful with my jewelry, because yeah, I very often find a kid walking around with something on that I have made. They'll come in here and dig through. So yes. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that I have inspired you. I hope that maybe the little connector components is something that you will take and use in your own jewelry designs. And definitely go check out all of the Market Fresh minis. They are so beautiful. Each one of them has something amazing to offer in that little container. I'm just blown away with how much is available in those little guys. So definitely check those out. Oh gosh, it's been a long week and it is not even over yet, you guys. I'm geared up. I got more stuff I gotta go do. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you guys again. You can catch me tomorrow at 1 p.m. on Sara Ellis Designs. That's Eastern time. I'll have another project for you guys. I'm using one of the Market Fresh minis. I just haven't decided which one I want to use yet. And then of course you can catch me again at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Monday for Maker Monday. And guys, speaking of maker things, Maker Mysteries is coming this Saturday, 8 p.m. Be sure that you check that one out. There's a bead mix that goes with it, and an interesting story that kind of goes hand in hand with one of the mysteries that I have previously told. So that'll be an interesting one. All right, guys, that's it for me. You have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. If you've got questions, don't hesitate to ask, reach out, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye, guys.